In order to roll the burrito, you must become the burrito. I wanted to talk today about being addicted to our thoughts. We as humans have this amazing ability to discern the world around us through our thought process. It's something that has allowed us to evolve beyond other animals on this planet to the point of creating this world we live in now. Not that that's necessarily good or bad. It could be looked at as either. But it has also given us the ability to see the positive and negative outcomes of all our actions. The problems arise when we find ourselves in a place where we are rejecting what is in that present moment. And that's when the mind loves to come up with scenarios that take you into a thought of either wanting to be back in a state of being where you felt safe or more fulfilled, or it will send you into the future where once you've obtained or achieved this or that, you will be where you're supposed to be and finally feel self-actualized, instead of living in the feeling of either inferiority or trying to make yourself feel superior. We've all got this little voice in our head that says things like, "I'm the best that's ever been when it comes to this," or "I'll never be as good as someone else who has that." Either types of these thoughts will feed different aspects of the ego, and so the ego loves to perpetuate these mental movies that play out in our mind ad nauseum. If you continually tell yourself and others the narrative that your ego has attached itself to, it continues to strengthen that sense of self, because the only way to get something to grow is to feed it. And so it's found its energy source in these thoughts that we begin to identify with as my life, whether they be good or bad, which makes it even more difficult to break free because now part of the mind has decided that this is the role we play in the world, which allows for these thought forms to reaffirm our sense of self. And so we keep replaying the same old thoughts and start to believe that this is the way it's supposed to be. Learning to be aware of these thoughts is key to breaking away from them. Your mind's ego is constantly at work trying to keep up a narrative that you can identify with, and so the thoughts play out into a future where everything will be better. Meanwhile, these thoughts are total fabrications of scenarios that are usually completely absurd to the point that you might find yourself thinking up an alternate reality where you had made a different choice in the past and now everything playing out in your mind's future is an impossible outcome that you can't actually reconcile with. So it leaves you feeling depressed and empty, all while you're still rejecting the present moment where you could actually make a new choice from. It's important to realize that you aren't your thoughts, and that they have a way of getting out of control when we aren't fully present in the moment. Then realize that voice in your head thinking these thoughts isn't you either, because you're aware that there's a voice in your head. Therefore, your consciousness and thoughts must be two separate things. Think of all the thoughts you've had that ended up being completely wrong or made up. The mind had created something that you were so absolutely sure of, but then that future that you were so sure of never arises. That alone should tell you can't trust that voice. So why would you put so much into what it's saying? Learning to silence the mind and thinking process is what I've found helpful in my life. Bringing yourself into your body with breathing practices and sensing the aliveness that's flowing through you. Remember that we are part of a sense-perceived world and then actually engage with those senses without trying to label something by life's conditioning, and instead just feel the sense of being. I've been practicing this lately in the evenings, where I'll sit outside and close my eyes. I'll listen for every little sound I can hear without naming it, or attaching a label to it based off of conditioning. Hearing the crickets, the cars driving down the street, dogs barking off in the distance, planes flying overhead, all without allowing my mind to say, "Oh, that's a cricket," or "Oh, that sounded like a motorcycle going by," or "Why would anybody allow their dog to bark like that at such an hour?" All thoughts that allow something for the conditioned mind to latch onto or complain about. And then after a few moments of being still with the world around me, I will begin to incorporate my inner body into my sense perception. As you breathe in, you feel the air pass through your nostrils and fill your lungs. Feel the aliveness it brings to all the cells throughout your body. Work your way through from your feet to your head, acknowledging that energy that you are emanating throughout your body, meanwhile still perceiving the external world as well, and creating a oneness by just allowing what is to be. Sometimes I can stay this way for a few minutes, and sometimes just a few seconds, but it always brings a sense of peace, just to break away from the constant chatter in the mind with identification through thought forms. Thinking allows for a pseudo sense of self, so you mustn't allow yourself to get lost in thought and create a false narrative of identity. Learn to use your thought process to enhance your life by allowing it to be the tool that it is, instead of believing everything that may arise in the mind and thus allowing it to control your actions. Thank you so much for being here with me. I really appreciate you. And remember, in order to roll the burrito, you must become the burrito.